other positions on the offensive line when the competition is such that there's work to be done? And is there any other position that maybe has some
Need some urgency? I think you got a little bit more time with those, a little more grace. They've been doing a good job of fighting all those battles, and we're rotating a lot of guys in through on that offensive line unit. Yeah, the flex position, I think, especially an experienced guy like Gino, is extremely important. You know, if you can play multiple spots, especially if you're a guy that can either snap a football or push yourself out to tackle, life's going to be really, really good for you up front because you got guys that can do both.
Ryan, what's kind of the snap plan for quarterbacks heading into week 2 of camp?
Right now, we're keeping status quo. All the guys have been getting 1s, 2s, and 3s, with the exception of Ty. He's the only guy that's not taking any 3 reps. So really it's been status quo. But today everybody got a couple racks with the 1s, and Ty took a couple with the 2s. So we're still moving them around, and the guys know that. There's a pretty clean picture moving forward throughout the week.
With another coach on staff who's coaching quarterbacks, obviously that frees you up a little bit. How do you divide your time on the practice field?
Yeah, I'm always going to probably hunker pretty close to the quarterback, just because of that relationship that I have to have for game day. But it does, at times, especially if there's something specific in a game plan or drill work that I think has to be addressed to see if we can fix some problems, I'm certainly going to be over for those drills on any of the position groups. So the flexibility is huge, and just having guys that you can trust in the quarterback room like Nick is ultra important.
How would you evaluate what you've seen from the quarterbacks since the last time we talked to you?
They've grown a ton. Spring to now, even first practice to now, has been outstanding. I thought, a couple of the young guys hit a couple bumps early on, and I really thought they played through it really quickly. Sometimes you'll hit that, and they'll stay down. They get on the canvas, and they can't get back up. But I thought both the guys did a great job, Keelan and Austin, of playing through that. We've had a lot less up and down with the whole room. I think that we've done a good job taking care of the football. Again, today there was no picks, and I really didn't feel like the ball was in jeopardy today. And I think that's one of the biggest things is just improved decision-making in the room.
Coach, what did you see from the running backs?
Jam Miller, he's the man. Love that guy. So Jam's been doing everything. I think, the thing about a guy like Jam, you love older guys that don't feel like their skill set's complete. And what I mean by that is I think Jam really wholeheartedly takes on, there's things that I can get better at. And he works at them extremely hard. He's very diligent about his process. And so he's a good leader in the room. I think Daniel has showed the physicality we thought with exceptional hands. I think Dre's getting better at pass protection, as is Rich. And so those 4 guys have really shown a lot of growth. And then even A.K. Deere is a guy that, was really swimming this spring and has showed some promise here lately. Normally I don't talk about those younger guys too much, but just been proud about, his progress the last couple of days has been really good.
With the depth that you have in the running back room, how many guys are you expecting to see utilized this fall?
I mean, whatever we need for the game plan. Sometimes there's some specialty stuff that you need a little bit more of one type of back, and I think that we're lucky that we have a lot of different types of backs. So I think that you normally are going into almost any game, you're thinking there's at least 3 guys that are going to get, considerable reps.
What have you seen from Jam on pass protection? How is he in
I don't know. He was pretty solid right away. I mean, I would say physicality, but he's always been super physical. I think his eyes have improved, just as far as where his first indicators are at and just following his rules. So I think he was pretty dialed, honestly, even before the spring. But I certainly think he continues to improve on that.
How would you evaluate Isaiah Horton this fall camp so far?
Hungry. He's a guy like today. He had a touchdown in the red zone, ran a really physical route in the middle third of the end zone that he had to win on tight coverage and bodied a guy up and made a really, really strong catch. And I think he's a guy that is very critical of himself and aware of the things that he needs to get better at. And I think that's all you can ask out of players, and he's certainly doing a good job of that.
Coach Shepard said yesterday that Rico's a guy y'all kind of use his blocking technique as an example for some of the other receivers. How do you teach the young receivers the importance of blocking when they may not be getting involved?
Drill it, number one. Blocking circuit is for everybody. So for us, we do work extensively. I mean, that part of our game, from a circuit or a drill work standpoint, is something I know as a staff that we work every week, every day. And, the receivers are guys that it's really, I guess the point I made the other day in the unit meeting was I said, when I was here in the spring and we were going through practice, I felt like we had to find a guy to pick and point out, like, that's what it should look like. And that was the guy that was standing out. Now, if there's a guy not doing it right and tight hands and good base and things like that, now he's the guy that's standing out. So the room is completely flipped. I think it's a belief system in the room, and they've certainly captured that.
There's a general perception that spring ball is more about fundamentals and fall camp is more about playbook install. That's obviously somewhat of an oversimplification. How much is fundamentals still bleeding into fall camp at this point?
It's got to stay in there all year. I truly believe that. That's a little bit of coach talk and saying the right thing on the mic, but I do. I think that guys can improve throughout the season, and you don't know. It might be the third string left guard that you got to count on by the end of the year. So you got to continually develop young players, and that's a critical part of what we do. And so it has to be the same, in my opinion, all the way through the year. And you got to be able to show them clips of what it used to look like, what it looks like now, and what you want the finished product to look like. And we certainly do that every day right now.
Piggybacking off of that, how does the O-line depth look as campus progresses?
Really good. Really good. I think, the interior position, as mentioned before, there's a lot of flexibility in guys that can play, multiple spots, including not just Gino. Parker obviously solidifies the inside at the center spot, but Gino is really capable center as well and can play both guard spots. At the tackle spot, we're lucky. We got a couple of young tackles that are starting to progress in Jackson and Michael Carroll. And then, with Olas, you got 3 young guys that are backing up your 2 starters as it is right now. And I think that we feel really confident in the depth that we have right now.
You were talking about the ability for wide receivers to, the importance of blocking in that. How much of a transition is that for a guy like Jalen Okwakwe, who's kind of still learning a position in that area?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's a lot if the culture in the room's wrong. If the culture in the room isn't that, hey, we catch touchdowns, but the expectation is that we're going to block. And when that culture is right, it happens really quick because they're more than capable typically. The athleticism, the strength, all that stuff's normally there. It's more of a demeanor or a mindset. So when the room is right, I think it happens really quick.
What have you seen from Jalen Okwakwe this fall?
I think Jalen is one of the guys, we haven't talked about a bunch, but I think he's really settling into his role as a receiver. He's improving on route running. I think his hands are getting better, securing the football. I think he's doing a really nice job. He's shown up quite a bit already.
A couple more questions.
What's that mindset and flip with the wide receivers from the spring? Was that more coach-led, like y'all got to get better at this? Was it some players stepping up, or kind of what do you think led?
It's a combination. That's a good question. I think certainly Shep and myself have that type of demeanor as far as the expectations in the room. It's great when you got teach clips from guys like Roma Dunze that are blocking and Jalen McMillan that are more than willing to be blockers, and then you show them NFL clips, and those guys are all expected to insert on hammer nail, and you got Puka Nakua and guys like that aren't scared to put their nose in there, and the DK Metcalfs of the world. So I think when you're able to show them that and like, hey, this is what it's supposed to look like, and then your guys start doing it, you can start showing it on film and just, positively reinforce what it's supposed to look like. So I think it's a combination of both. That was a long answer for that. I apologize. Holy smokes.
From your perspective, what gets you excited about this offense so far?
Man, I'm really excited about the way the old line's playing, the physicality that they've been showing, and the leadership that Parker's been able to have, and then KP I think is really. It's been so fun to coach him. He's a hungry guy that, he obviously is a super talented player and God-given ability, but he works really hard and very diligent about his process. So seeing that, and then just already the improvement in the quarterback room fires me up.
Does it help to have an offensive line with guys who can, lift 500 pounds?
Yeah, it sure does. I've been on the other end of that, and it's not as fun. So yeah, anytime you get a bunch of guys that can move them from A to B, life's pretty good.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate it.
You bet. Thank you all.